a cat. As yet, I have no name. I have no idea where I was born. First off, I want to speak to you about rushes of blood to the head. Thus, while a number of methods have been devised for cooling down rushes of blood to the head, I regret to report that, as at the present time, no satisfactory way to incite them has yet been invented. It is perhaps natural that people should generally assume that there's nothing to be gained from rushes of blood to the head. But there's at least one context where any such sweeping judgment is like to prove unduly hasty. Indeed, many of those engaged in the activity I have in mind would swear blind that without such rushes they could not even begin to pursue their profession. I am speaking of poets. Just as coal is indispensable to a steamship, so to poets are rushes of blood to the head. Bereft of that energy source for so little as one day, poets would deflate into mediocrities, capable of nothing but eating and drinking in a lifelong haze of idleness. In sober truth, a rush of blood to the head is simply an attack of lunacy. But since no professional would care to admit that he cannot pursue his profession except when in a state of mental derangement, poets, even amongst themselves, do not call their madness madness. By an arrangement privately arrived at, a sort of literary conspiracy, they all seek to dazzle the foolish public by describing their derangement as inspiration. The fact remains that we are speaking of madness. Nevertheless, poets do have Plato on their side, for he called their ailment a sacred madness, a divine madness. Even so, and no matter what degree of divinity may really be involved, people would refuse to regard poetry with any measure of respect if it were openly identified with lunacy. And I therefore conclude that poets are wise to cling to their inspiration. Because though inspiration sounds to me like the name of some newly invented patent medicine, it remains an impressive word, one behind which the pottiness of poets can most splendidly be sheltered.
Yes. Oh. Yeah.
As for me, I am a cat. Still nameless, though born 2 years ago, who has lived his life among men. I have always thought myself unique in my knowledge of mankind. If one heeds the sages who are assembled here today, mankind has already sentenced itself to extinction by suicide. If we don't watch out, even cats may find their individualities developing along the lethal crushing pattern forecast for these two-legged loons. It's an appalling prospect. So perhaps a sip of beer would cheer me up.
Good idea.
I go round to the kitchen. The back door is half open and rattles in the autumn wind. Still, there are shadows tilting inward through the window. On a tray there are 3 glasses, 2 of them half filled with a brownish liquid. Naturally, this liquid, standing quietly beside the jar of charcoal extinguisher, looks in the icy moonlight, chill and uninviting. Anyway, someday I too must die, so I might as well try everything before I go. Once I'm dead, I tell myself, it will be too late in the grave to regret that I never tasted beer. So take courage and drink up. I flicked my tongue into the stuff. But as I began to lap, I got a sharp surprise. The tip of my tongue, as though it had been pricked with needles, stung and tingled painfully. What possible pleasure can human beings find in drinking such unpleasant stuff? I've heard my master describe revolting food as not fit for a dog, but this dark drink is truly not fit for a cat. When, by sheer strength of will and tiger-like perseverance, I'd lapped away the beer in the first glass, a strange phenomenon occurred. The initial agony of my needle tongue began to ease off, and the ghastly feeling in my mouth, a feeling as if some hand was squeezing my cheeks together from the outside, was pleasurably relieved. By the time I dealt with the first glass, beer swilling was no longer much of a problem. I finished off the second glass so painlessly that while I was about it, I even lapped up all the spill in the tray and slurped the whole lot down into my stomach. So this, I thought, is how it feels to be gloriously drunk. Radiant with glory, I persevered in setting my unsteady feet one in front of each other in the correct order. I made no effort to travel in any particular direction, but just kept going in long, slow, wayward totter. I'm beginning to feel extremely sleepy. And indeed, I hardly know if I'm still walking or already sunk in sleep. Oh well, it can't be helped. I put a front paw forward when suddenly I hear a loud, sloppy splash. When I again came to myself, I found I was floating in water. Because I was also in pain, I clawed at what seemed its cause. From the water's surface to the lip of the jar, it measured some 5 inches. However much I stretch my paws, I cannot reach the lip, and the water gives no purchase for a jump. If I do nothing, I just sink. This is so painful that I immediately start scrabbling again until I break surface and I can breathe. But it's a very tiring business, and my strength is going. While this was going on, and despite the constant pain, I found myself reasoning that I'm only in agony because I want to escape from the jar. Now, much as I'd like to get out, it's obvious I can't. My extended front leg is scarcely 3 inches long, and even if I could hoist my body with its outstretched 4 paws up above the surface, I still could never hook my claws over the rim. Accordingly, since it's blindingly clear that I can't get out, it's equally clear that it's senseless to persist in my efforts to do so. How very stupid. How very, very stupid. Deliberately to prolong the agonies of this torture. I'd better stop. I just don't care what happens next. I've had quite enough, thank you, of this clutching, clawing, scratching, scraping, scrabbling, senseless struggle against nature. The decision made, I give up and relax. First my forepaws, then my hind legs, and then my head and tail. Gradually, I begin to feel at ease. I can no longer tell whether I'm suffering or feeling grateful. It isn't even clear whether I'm drowning in water or lolling in some comfy room. And it really doesn't matter. It does not matter where I am or what I'm doing. I simply feel increasingly at ease. No, I can't actually say that I feel at ease either. I feel that I've cut away the sun and moon. They pull at me no longer. I've pulverised both heaven and earth, and I'm drifting off and away into some unknown endlessness of peace. I am dying, Egypt, dying. Through death, I'm drifting slowly into peace. Only by dying can this divine quiescence be attained. May one rest in peace. I am thankful. I am thankful. 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 Thankful.